Hey folks, Kilt-Man here, Kilt-Man at your services. How are you all? Hope you're all doing very, very well. Now, this video is a little update, a wee update on something I've discussed in previous videos. And I've discussed it at length in the very previous video, which is a big magazine edition. So just the video before this one, I talked about it a lot. Now, it's about these pesky, clandestine, covert Chinese police stations which have popped up around the world in Western cities, sort of post-pandemic. Pandemic, you say, Kilt-Man? Pandemic? What pandemic was that? Well, that would be the one that originated in the Wuhan province of where? Yeah, China. Oh, I could have timed that just a little bit better, just a split second better. Damn it. That's the Kilt Mansion house band playing there with their big Chinese gongs. Anyway, these police stations, I've talked about it a lot. They're all over the world. They are set up by Beijing. Yes, they are manned by Chinese police officers. They don't look like police stations. They're masquerading. Masquerading, you say? Lots of Chinese masks around here. They masquerade as, in the UK, there's 2 in London and 1 in Glasgow. One of the ones in London is a estate agent, and the one in Glasgow is a Chinese restaurant. But they masquerade as something else. They're not, advertising what they are. And yet, even though they're known about and they've been investigated, Beijing has always maintained that they're run by volunteers. And the idea is that, post-pandemic, which they caused, it's to help our nationals who live abroad with their driver's licenses and maybe their social security and their mortgages, whatever, documentation. It's to help them with that. Right, you've got an embassy which can help with that. Plus, you've also got the actual people from the country in question who deal with this sort of thing on a daily basis. Go to them, because you live there, go to them. Follow the laws of the country that you're in. Don't bring your laws and your police stations to someone else's country that you've chosen to reside in. But that is not what's happening, because the people who are out there, they've chosen to go there to get away from China because they're political dissidents. They are pro-democracy activists. And China doesn't want to let go. Oh, no, because you could be whistleblowers. You could really say things that we don't want anybody else in the world to hear about us. So we're going to send our guys out there to hunt you down. That's what they're doing. They are finding that it's their surveillance and intelligence gathering, but they're finding these dissidents as well. And then their campaign is to harass and intimidate them as well. Now, if they've got family living back in China, they'll threaten them with well, if you don't come into us and we take you back, well, your family back home. So, the next chop suey. Not good, folks, not good. You can't take the law, your law, into someone else's country. Can't do that. It's against the law. So, but it's been known about for a while. But Beijing countered it by saying, they're just working to help our nationals over there. And they're manned by volunteers. They are not manned by volunteers. They are manned by Chinese policemen. Chinese police officers from the Ministry of Public Security, the MPS. And more specifically, these people are working for the 912 Special Projects Working Group, whose job it is, right, to find, intimidate, harass dissidents abroad. And they do so by creating fake social media personas and harassing and destroying the character of these people. And even in one case, apparently they got someone removed entirely from social media, got them blocked because they had someone on the inside of some platform or whatever. Now, Oh yeah, there's very clearly some Chinese, Oriental style musical ambience to set the scene here. It does make me think I'm about to order beef green pepper, black bean sauce, and chicken sweet corn soup. And don't forget the good fortune cookies, not the bad ones. You know, I love Chinese food though. I really do. Anyway, so I've reported on this, and that they're in. There's 9 in Spain. These police stations, 9 in Spain, 4 in Italy, 3 in France, 2 in the Netherlands, 3 in the UK, as I said, 3 in Canada, which I think are all Montreal based, and obviously they're in America, in the United States as well. And I say, well, they're under investigation. Why the hell has no one moved in to stop this? Well, it seems someone was watching my video the other day, because suddenly, overnight, yesterday, but the news broke overnight. Yesterday, on Monday, it would have been the 17th of April, 2023, the FBI moved in on the clandestine covert Chinese cop shop in Chinatown in New York City. Oh yeah, and the FBI have their offices not too far away, and quoted, we were looking at this place, and who'd have thought in hustling, bustling, Chinatown, we'd have on the second floor of this building an entire sort of office suite dedicated to surveillance and intimidation techniques for an enemy power. And that's where they were. Now, that particular one was set up in February 2022. Again, the idea was it was to help their nationals post-pandemic. Yeah, bullshit. And then the FBI kind of got wind of it and began investigating in October last year, October 2022. And only yesterday, on the 17th of April 2023, they arrested the 2 guys that manned it. And the 2 guys that manned it straight away deleted loads of information off their phones. But the FBI are canny, and they kind of knew what the information was already. And it was liaisons with some other mainland China official of this MPS, and ordering them to harass and do stuff to certain dissidents and political activists. And so they know what the score is. They were also trying to get a particular Californian resident, Chinese descent, who was outspoken, and get them removed from social media and harass, intimidate, and bring them in. So that was all part of this chain of information which they've been trying to delete. So, it's just nasty, sinister stuff, folks. But at least the FBI have moved in, and they've arrested these 2 guys, and they're going to face lots of charges. Now, there isn't just these 2 guys. The FBI have also raised charges against another 40. At least, I've seen one said 35, one said 36, one said 38, a couple said 40. But there's also someone else who's actually in the USS. The USS? United States of Spain, I don't know. In the US, who is an American, and he's been working with them as well. So there could be 41, and they've issued charges against all these. And this is for an internet trolling campaign to destroy the character of these various people who have been speaking out. It's all very nefarious and very nasty. And it is nasty because what will happen to these people if they had their way, they'd get them back to China. Well, that'd be it. They'd be for chop socky, mate. That over, game over. So, but they've issued charges. But 40 of these people are in China. So good luck with extraditing them and bringing that to America to face charges. That's not going to happen, is it? Never going to happen. So, but at least they're making a move on these things. Now, in the UK, our judicial system knows about these 3, at least 3 covert Chinese cop shops, but I'm not, and then investigating them. But have they actually done anything? Have they stopped them? Have they arrested the people? I don't know. I've not heard. But at least in America now things are moving. In Canada, say in Montreal, they have these Chinese cop shops, and Justin Trudeau, the Canadian Prime Minister, that same guy that allows Chinese troops in the thousands to undergo Arctic warfare training in the Yukon province of Canada. He allows them to go there, which kind of, it's sending a very confusing message, because the Canadians have said, this is not good. You can't have their police stations on our sovereign territory. It's against all our principles, against the law, and this is going to threaten things between Canada and Beijing. Well, they've said that, but they're quite clearly in the pocket of China as well. Have they only acted and said these things because of the now publicised investigations into all these other Chinese cop shops around the world? And I think it was a Spanish organisation that actually first got onto these and made it, quite a big thing, publicised it. And now everyone's taking notice of it. So you can't have these police stations, which is what they are. They are offices which are dedicated to surveillance and intimidation, and they're working for the Chinese government, but they're not authorised. All these other countries have said, well, especially America said, the FBI said, you haven't got this authorised. I don't know if maybe there was a loophole where they could have set this sort of thing up, ostensibly to help, their own people. That maybe could have worked. But because they lied about all that, and they now know what they were really doing, you can't do that. So the FBI haven't exactly minced their words. A couple of quotes. Simply outrageous! It said, Kurt Rano, can't read my own writing. Kurt Rano, or Rono, FBI Counterintelligence Division. He said, the People's Republic of China will stop at nothing to bend people to their will and silence messages they don't want anyone to hear or read or see. So this is their technique now. This is shut people down, who are dissing their government and their policies. Because China's a big player. It's a massive player. As I said before, China's bought up lots and lots of land in the US, and probably Canada as well. Lots and lots of land. China and Russia are buying up all the gold reserves, because gold and the federal reserves of gold in the US, I like that now. So China and Russia have got it all. You see where this is going? And they're moving into the US as well. They've got their own police stations there. They're sending across, and I've reported on this so many times now, hundreds and hundreds, but if not by now, thousands of Chinese men, young Chinese men, all single, are flying from China to Ecuador and then travelling up from Ecuador to Mexico and across the border into the States. And the ones that get caught, the few that get caught, all they're allowed to do now under Biden's policies is just maybe take the fingerprints, but definitely photograph them, but only if you caught them, and then let them go. Don't incarcerate them, don't send them back. Don't even ask them why they're there. Just, we caught you. Just put your fingers on that. Cheers. Leave the ink on the hand, just roll it across, will you? Bit of a first blood quote there, folks. Couldn't help that one. And then let them go. And then they don't know where they are. Now, are these all Chinese policemen? Could be. There's that many Chinese. You could have 30 billion Chinese police officers. So they're infiltrating the US. So are they acting under orders? Well, they clearly are. But in cahoots with all these little police stations, right? Well, so-and-so living in Oregon. Bring them in. Go get them. Bring them in. They've been mouthing off. Bring them in. So, it's bizarre. So on the one hand, you've got the FBI, who are now finally, right, well, we're going to do something, and we're going to make it public that we've arrested these guys, and that we don't like this, and there's some there's some good rhetoric there as well. There's other quotes from these guys like, it's outrageous, you know, you can't, because these Chinese people they're going after are now American citizens living in America, you know. So, you know, we can't have the Chinese coming in, harassing, intimidating, and trying to, you know, arrest, you know, American citizens on our own soil. And like, to the FBI being like, you can't do this. I wonder what Biden says though. Biden probably won't say a damn thing, let's be honest. But at least something's happening. And I know that in the UK, because it's been mentioned, they are investigating it. So, and the one in Glasgow, they're not just making like, you know, deep fried Mars bars and then putting some soy sauce on the top of it. No. They're doing much more than that. And these are the ones that we know about. The ones that have been highlighted. There's probably many, many more. But it's a scary proposition, folks. Scary. They are moving in to our nations, our cities, and they're bringing their law, and they're trying to silence people that are saying anything about them. We can't do that out there. We can't set up a police station out in China or in Russia. We can't do that. But they've got them here. Doesn't make any sense, folks. Doesn't make any sense at all. So, what else did I write down? We've got the 2 arrests. And you got the 40, possibly. We got the 40 in China who are facing charges by the US justice system. Well, that means absolutely fuck all, doesn't it? Let's be honest, that's going to go nowhere, that. But they got the one, there's also somebody in the US who's, somebody, just one. There's going to be loads in the Chinese fucking back pocket. But they must know who this person is, and they can probably bring them in. So, and they work for some kind of tech company who runs social media platforms or whatever. So, you know, and this will go on. This will be a huge ripple effect. But whether it really gathers momentum or this is just, is this it? We've made it public now because Kilt-Man talked about this, so we're going to have to make it public now. So is Kilt-Man happy? Well, keep on going. Don't let them leave America. Don't send them back to China. You keep them in prison in America. You demand that the ones who are working alongside them, the other 40 in China, get extradited. That'll never happen. But just keep up the pressure and shut these places down. Have a strike force who are working just on these clandestine Chinese operations. You've got now thousands of Chinese have infiltrated, all young men, all unmarried. Well, they haven't brought families with them. The point being that people are coming across the border in their thousands almost every day. Often have families and kids, and they're genuinely doing it to better their lives. Many, many more hundreds aren't. They're doing it for nefarious reasons, of course, because Biden weakened, the border. So they're all coming across. It's just, hey, it's a big cavalcade, like gypsies. And Romanese, they're all singing and dancing and playing harps and piccolos and banjos and accordions, and dancing their way across. But it's serious now. That's an invasion force there. And there are other people talking about this, but you don't hear it on the news, it doesn't get mentioned and all this. So a weakened border, thousands crossing all the time. You don't know where they are once they've gone into the cities and the various states. Massive infiltration. I've said previously, China does not need to use bombs and bullets to take down the US. All these people go into wherever, form little cells and hack systems, banking systems, communication systems, defense systems, take them down, corrupt and destroy, infiltrate, annihilate. That's what happens. That's the way of the new world. They don't need to actually invade. Although if a big defensive resistance was, manifested by the Americans, well, they've got that bloody bunch of Arctic warfare trained Chinese super soldiers up north who've already got a foothold. Just march them down. Or just you, because you've got thousands of Chinese soldiers in the Yukon. Suddenly you've got the Yukon. They've got it. And then they can bring other transports in, hardware, equipment. It won't take them long to march through Canada. And then they've got the US sorted out. Only if they need to do it. It's an intimidatory tactic as well. Look, you know that we're up there. And you know that we're in your country. You're not too sure how many though, because don't forget, it's only the ones who've been caught crossing the border. There'll be many, many, many more that were not apprehended or questioned, you know. And even the ones that were let go. Oh, go in, of course. Have fun. Live the American dream, which is becoming an American nightmare now, of course. So, yeah, there's a lot of things happening, folks. But at least I thought, well, after me talking about it, wow, something actually happened. But let's hope they actually really do work on this. And in all those other countries, and there'll be many more besides those. Let's say again, the ones that are known about, there's 9 in Spain. And it was the Spanish organisation that first got onto these. So 9 in Spain, 4 in Italy, 3 in France, 2 in the Netherlands, 3 in the UK, 3 in Canada, and multiple in the US by the sound of things. But they've closed down one. But you know, it's a big battle, but it's a quiet war. This, you know, it's the Cold War sort of, spies and surveillance, and then counter surveillance, counter terrorism, and all this. Different wings, the military and the security forces being brought into action. The FBI, the CIA are going to be involved. You know, and in the UK, and they've got to remember, we're little tiny. You know, we're just. I don't think we even matter, but in the grand scheme of things, but they're still here, and they're still monitoring, and they're still doing surveillance. I think that the one thing maybe you could take from all this is that if China is that bothered by the rest of us, or the West of us, to do all these sort of things, that they've got to, you know, have these policies and send these people out and infiltrate and use TikTok as a spying device and other devices too, then they must be afraid of us on some level. So is that something that at least, well, they don't just think we're nothing, they can just roll over us, which in all honesty, with their sheer numbers, if it came down to sort of medieval warfare, then yeah, they could roll over us, because they are literally like the immortals. As one drops, another 10 fill their place. You'll never wipe them out, never. So I don't want to sound like I'm warmongering. I'm not doing that. But they are acting illegally in other people's countries, and you need to be aware of that. You need to know what's going on out there. It's not good, and the governments that we have are not acting quick enough or doing anywhere near enough to stop this sort of thing taking place. They're portraying themselves as being complete weak pussies. Let's see what the FBI and the American judicial system does with these two guys. Let's see if it makes the mainstream. It has been reported on the BBC, reported on the Guardian, Times, all the major newspapers and news outlets have reported on it, but has it made any TV news yet? Not that I have seen at all. So, and if it does, it'll be a little snippet probably. Hopefully I'm wrong and they make a big thing out of this, because it's a much bigger issue than probably even what I'm making it out to be. It's literally, you can't set a police station up in someone else's country and bring your laws into that police station and then infiltrate the rest of that country's society to bring in people. No, you have to act by the law of the country that you're in. You know, I'm not speaking fucking gobbledygook, am I? I'm not speaking one of the multi-gazillion dialects of China, am I? You know? Folks, oh. After all that, just realised I've got some whiskey here as well. So just be aware of what's out there. Don't let it put you off going for your next Chinese meal then. Don't, because it's great. I do love it. And I've said before, I've got lots of friends around here who happen to be Chinese. So I've got nothing against the Chinese people, but I've got a lot against the Chinese regime. And they are not your friends. They've already tried to eradicate us. Maybe with some Western help as well from the upper elite, the upper 1% echelon, with that pandemic thing I mentioned earlier. They've had a go at that already, and they know the damage they can cause. And what reparations have they made? What punishment did they face? Yeah, nothing at all. And whether you believe in the pandemic or not, whether you believe the vaccines are wrong, and I've got my opinions on that, very strong opinions on that. You can't dispute it originated in a laboratory in Wuhan, in China. China brought this to the world, and the world reacted in such a really ridiculous fashion that whether they were all working in cahoots, who knows, but China then could sit back and go, even though it's just like a mild cold for most people, look what it's done. It's shut down nations. It's brought in laws to those nations which they haven't even eradicated yet, and they're still in place. Martial law and things like that, and lockdowns could be the drop of a hat. In the UK, in a few days' time, we have the UK emergency alarm test on everyone with a smartphone at 3 o'clock on this coming Sunday. At 3 o'clock, this fucking alarm's gonna go off, and even if your phone is on silent, it'll still go off regardless. And no matter where you are, it's gonna go off. It's a test across the entire UK. I've talked about this before as well, and I'll talk more about it in the lead up to it. But look, this is all part of what's happened post-pandemic. These are all new tactics, new laws that have been swept in under the blanket, under the carpet. That's the phrase, isn't it? But China's sitting back. It's because of us. We've basically destabilised all the Western powers. We can crash bang them into the Stone Age and make them third world countries in the blink of an eye. The blink of an inscrutable, unblinking eye. They don't tend to blink, do they, Chinese? Anyway, folks, I have been over Shabby Kilt-Man. Please, in the meantime, in this ever shady, sinister, clandestine in-between time, please keep it Kiltic, keep it Celtic, and be yourselves, be careful. Keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, and don't fall for so much shit that you get force-fed. And just be aware of what is happening around you, what could be taking place. Be vigilant. That's what I'm saying. I mean, even with no threat, I'd still be saying, be vigilant, because danger lurks around every corner, in every shadow. So just be cool. Look after yourselves. And I'm going to see you all later. Because I'm just off for some noodle soup.